The Galactic Tribunal chamber was a cathedral of crystal and light, orbiting a dying star whose flames licked the void in crimson arcs. Thousands of alien delegates filled the amphitheater, their voices a low murmur that echoed like the grinding of stone. At the center, bound by honor guards of silver carapace, stood Ambassador Cara Vey, the first human ever brought before the tribunal. To her, the hall felt less like a court and more like an execution ground. Earth was accused of insolence, trespassing quarantine zones, refusing to bow to the silence laws, and speaking where no voice should rise. To the elder species, humanity was young, noisy, and dangerous. The High Arbiter's voice rang out like struck glass. This chamber demands silence. Humanity will stand trial unheard. Cara's jaw clenched. The order was clear. She was to remain voiceless. But silence had never saved her kind. Cara's pulse hammered as the chamber darkened. The tribunal's 3 judges, towering beings of translucent flesh, their eyes like molten suns, leaned forward from their thrones. Humanity, one intoned, its voice reverberating through the crystal walls, has violated quarantine zones, meddled with forbidden relics, and ignored decrees older than your species' fire. You are chaos. You will answer with silence. Chains of light anchored Cara's wrists. She could feel the contempt pressing down on her, the weight of 1,000 eyes demanding her submission. Her mind flashed with memories, miners on Titan humming to each other through static-filled comms, prisoners whispering through iron bars, her grandmother telling bedtime stories even as power outages plunged their city into blackness. Humanity had never truly been silent. If you cannot obey, the Arbiter thundered, your species will be cut off. No trade, no travel, no voice among the stars. You will wither alone. A murmur rippled through the gallery. Some alien envoys shifted uneasily, others hissed in agreement. Cara bowed her head, feigning humility. But beneath her breath, so soft it was almost a thought, words formed. A whisper. The crystal floor shivered. A harmonic note trembled through the chamber. Heads turned. The silence the tribunal demanded had been broken, not with defiance shouted, but with a human whisper that refused to die. The chamber quaked with that faint sound. It was not volume that shook the hall, it was resonance. The crystalline walls thrummed like struck glass, amplifying Cara's whisper until every being felt it beneath their skin. Gasps, screeches, and hisses filled the gallery. One judge recoiled, its many eyes narrowing. Impossible. The resonance tongue has been lost for epochs. Another leaned forward, intrigued. No, it lives in them. Cara raised her head slowly, lips barely moving. Her whisper carried again, weaving through the air like a current. We endured silence of void and tomb. We spoke anyway. We endured. A scribe, slender, feathered, no more than a youth, repeated her words without meaning to, voice trembling. The chamber rippled once more, as though her whisper awakened something deep and ancient within the crystal itself. Panic erupted. Envoys shouted for her execution. She wields silence as a weapon. Container! Guards advanced, their blades humming with energy. But others hesitated. Even the oldest species could not deny what they had felt, truth binding itself to sound. Cara's voice had touched them not as a weapon, but as memory. Of their own first songs, their own whispered rebellions against extinction. Chains dug into her wrists. She was cornered, powerless, yet all she needed was breath. Humanity's defiance was not in shouting, but in refusing to ever be voiceless. And the tribunal, for the first time in millennia, could not agree on a verdict. Enough. The High Arbiter's voice cracked like thunder, silencing the gallery. Contain this creature before her corruption spreads. The honor guards moved in, weapons raised. Cara closed her eyes. She did not need to shout. The galaxy had mistaken loudness for power. Humanity had always known otherwise. Her lips parted. A whisper slid into the air, gentle as falling snow. It was not defense, but memory. The names of stars humanity had touched. The lullabies sung aboard colony ships drifting through light years of silence. The final words of soldiers in forgotten trenches. The promises of lovers beneath skies of fire. The chamber shook. Crystals fractured overhead, spilling rainbows of light. Aliens staggered, clutching their heads as her words bypassed ears and cut straight into memory, stirring echoes they thought long buried. The Arbiter roared, striking the floor with a staff of judgment. This is blasphemy. She bends will with sound, but Kara was not bending. It was resonance, connection. The very architecture of the hall amplified it until the tribunal itself seemed to breathe with her. Then came the choice. She felt it in her bones. She could tighten her voice, weaponize the resonance, and force every species here to kneel. The power waited, vast and intoxicating. Or she could release it, set it free into the void beyond her control. A gift or a curse that would ripple outward forever. Her chains rattled as she drew in one last breath. "We are not silence," she whispered, and let it go. The resonance surged outward, unstoppable, spilling beyond the chamber, out into orbit, into the very fabric of space. And the galaxy itself trembled as silence died. When the echoes faded, the tribunal was no longer the same. The crystal spires lay cracked, their perfect order fractured. Judges sat slumped upon their thrones, divided, some awed, others enraged, none untouched. Kara sagged against her restraints, chest heaving. Around her, envoys whispered, not in outrage but in wonder. They repeated fragments of her words, their voices carrying the resonance still. The arbiter's staff lay broken on the floor. "You have doomed us all," it hissed. But another judge answered, voice trembling, "or freed us." Kara was led out, not as a prisoner, but as a symbol. Humanity's name was no longer spoken with scorn. It carried danger, yes, but also possibility. In the halls of power, new debates ignited. Was Earth to be feared or followed? Neither answer promised peace. Kara knew only this. Silence had been shattered and nothing would cage it again. Far from the tribunal, on a mining colony lit by twin moons, a young alien stirred from sleep. In its dream, a whisper lingered, human words it had never learned, carrying warmth and defiance. It repeated them softly, and the walls of its dwelling vibrated in reply. Across starships, marketplaces, and war councils, fragments of Kara's voice resurfaced, unbidden and uncontainable. The resonance spread, not as command, but as invitation. Aboard her vessel, Kara gazed into the endless dark. She did not smile. Whispers could topple empires as surely as weapons. And now the galaxy was listening.